Hi. I was having microphone problems, so I'm just gonna wear this headset. It seems to not pick up as much background noise, and my son's watching TV. It's almost his nap time, but I thought I'd make this video really quickly before I laid him down. Um, I decided that I would tell you all my birth story, kind of. I'll try to remember everything. It was almost 3 years ago, so there's certain things. I'll try to get it all in order. November 10th of 2008, I woke up at 2:40 a.m. Was having cramps and thought that I had to go to the bathroom. So I went in the bathroom, and when I wiped, there was like blood streaks on the toilet paper. And so that hadn't happened before then, so I knew something was up. And then I figured out that I was actually having contractions. And so Um, then I tried to figure out, should I wake up my husband or let him sleep? And because he had only slept for 3 hours as well as me. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I should let him sleep. But he has to wake up at 5 to go to work every day. And so I thought, well, I guess I could let him sleep until 5 and then figure out if I should tell him or not. Because for about 2 weeks I had been having contractions. One day he had taken off of work because we were pretty sure I was going to go into labor that day, and I didn't. The contractions went away that night when I laid down to go to sleep. So it was very discouraging. I wasn't sure what to do. I sat down on the bed and I just sighed. And he popped right out of a dead sleep, looked right at me, and said, "What's wrong?" And so I told him, I said, "I think I'm in labor, and my contractions are getting harder." And so we timed them, and about an hour after I woke up, they were every 3 minutes, and I don't know how long they were lasting. I think every minute. I think I think they lasted for about a minute or around there. And called my aunt, woke her up, let her know, and then we headed to town so we'd be close to the hospital. And went to Walmart and decided we were going to walk around, try to help labor move along. But about that time, we figured out that I was having back labor because we got to Walmart and my contractions were so strong that I could barely walk around Walmart. And so my husband would have to stop constantly and rub my back and try to help me through it so I would actually be able to walk. So we headed to the hospital, not sure if the baby was going to come soon or not, being first time at this. And got to the hospital and they hooked me up to the machine that checks my contractions. And my contractions were not bad until they laid me down on that little bed thing. And they had my husband go sign some paperwork. And it was the oddest thing. I could handle my contractions if he was there. The moment that he left, they were so awful I almost couldn't handle it. I was seriously laying on the bed. The nurse had went to go talk to someone else. I was seriously laying on the bed about to cry and just praying that God would help me, that he would get me through it. But as soon as my husband got back, they weren't as bad. I could handle them. And I'm not sure why that is, but I'm not going to question it. It was nice. Happened again later on. He went to go get a Dr. Pepper, and while he was gone, I had the worst contractions of all. I told him he couldn't leave anymore. um, After they checked me, I was 4 centimeters dilated. I don't remember how much effaced I was. I might have been 100% effaced, or really close to that. And I was 5 days over my due date. So it was the day before they were going to induce me that I actually went into labor. And so they decided they were going to keep me. It took them like 30 minutes to decide that they were going to keep me. And so then they moved me to the labor and delivery room. And I told them, I'm like, I want to do it natural, no epidural. I don't want that. And I forgot to mention that I didn't want a C-section. So they bugged me with that as um, when I got into harder labor, they constantly were bugging me about that. I had had a sonogram that showed that my son Cade was about 10 pounds. It showed that, and I was rather large. Several people thought that I was having twins, and I I knew I wasn't. Of course, I had had the sonograms and everything else. So, um, but everyone told me sonograms are wrong. They always say that the baby's bigger than they actually are. So we thought, hey, he might be about 9 pounds, somewhere around there. And so they weren't concerned at all. My midwife, once they got me in the room, my midwife came in and she broke my water. And, sorry, that was my phone. Um, Came in, broke my water, and then she felt around on my belly, and she's like, he's not any bigger than 9 pounds, I would say. And, so I was like, okay, that's good. And when she broke my water, I flooded the bed. I had so much fluid, and that's part of why I was so big. It's because I flooded the bed with all this fluid, and they had to get me off the bed, change the bedclothes, change me out of the gown, and put a new one on me, and then they put me back on the bed. It was ridiculous. And then my son wouldn't hold still in my belly for the band on my stomach to track his heartbeat. So then they put one of those silly electrodes on his head to keep track of his heartbeat. And I swear, the next time that I'm in labor and someone does that to my child, I'm going to kick him in the head before they can do it. Because when he came out, when they took it off, it ripped a part of his scalp off. And he had a scab. He still has a scar on the top of his head from it. And yeah, they're not doing that next time. Um, and so then labor wasn't that bad. Like the contractions were hard. They wanted me to go walk the hallways, and they gave me 30 minutes to walk, and then they wanted me back so they could check me again. I didn't get very far away from the labor and delivery, like at all. I got maybe 5 minutes away, and I was late getting back. I just couldn't walk. It hurt so bad. My aunt was behind me rubbing my back, and I had a great support group. My aunt was there all day long, and my dad showed up, I think, 2 hours after she got there. And so he was there until I had Cade. And he had been having back pain since that morning when he woke up. And I had called him and woke him up. And so we joke about, because about the time I had Cade, I had him 4:04 in the afternoon. And that's about the time that my dad's back pain quit. It just went away. So we like to joke about that he took away some of the back pain. So it wasn't as bad. Lord, I hope not, because he's not with us anymore. And if that's the case, then the next time if I have back labor, I don't want it full force back pain on me. Um, but then let me see. They broke my water, and I basically, you know, same thing. Just sat there, and people came in, visited with me. Um, they had a birthing ball, but that just didn't even sound interesting to me. I might try it the next time. I wish they would have had a birthing tub. That would have been nice to sit there. Um, but they didn't. They only have showers, and I guess that would work, but I had that stupid electrode hanging out of me. I had cords draping from me from it, and I hated that. I tried to go to the bathroom once, and that was odd. Didn't know if I was going to get electrocuted or something. So, if I would have thought about it, I would have realized, no, you've got amniotic fluid coming out of you anyways. Why would you get electrocuted by peeing on a cord? But, then, I'm trying to remember how everything went down. Um, oh, I wasn't progressing quickly enough for them. So, they put me on Pitocin. I don't know how much Pitocin they put me on. Wasn't fond of it, but I was like, okay, whatever. I think they put me on Pitocin about an hour after they broke my water, if I remember correctly. And they put me on Pitocin, and that made my contractions really bad. Um, and then what was it? Towards the end of the labor, I was having contractions that my aunt was watching the little graph, and I had a contraction that lasted for almost 4 minutes. It never went down, and it lasted for about 4 minutes. And my aunt said that when it finally did go down, it didn't go down all the way before it popped right back up, and I had another contraction. And so it was tough. You didn't have time to like get yourself prepared for another contraction before it was boom there. I mean, I was having them 3 minutes, every 3 minutes before that too. And I told them, I was like, I'm so tired. They're like, well, sleep in between contractions. How do you fall asleep every 3 minutes? Like, in between those. The contractions were too hard to sleep through. So I couldn't sleep through them. They wouldn't let me eat. I absolutely hate that. That's the part about home birth that sounds so wonderful. If I could afford a home birth, I swear I would do it. Because I would have loved to be able to eat. I just wanted water. They won't give you a glass of water, but they'll give you a glass of ice chips that I sat off to the side to melt so I could drink it. And it was ridiculous. I wanted water. I just wanted a glass of water. I was so thirsty. And oh well, maybe that will change before I have another one. I don't know. I've heard that some doctors actually give you suckers now, pregnancy pops, or I guess not suckers, popsicles. That would have been okay. But then they had me roll over to my left side because my midwife was like, "You're not progressing enough. Let's try to roll you over to your left side." I could tell she didn't want them to have to do a C-section on me. It was getting to that point where the doctors were like, "Okay, let's do this. Let's do this." And at one point, I was just so tired. My body was breaking down on me, and I was just so tired. And I looked at my husband and said, "Do you think I should have a C-section?" Not thinking, not even using my head. I was just so tired. And he goes, "It's whatever you want, babe." And I looked at my aunt, and then I was like, they had said something about medication, painkillers. And so I was like, should I do that? And my aunt looked at me and said, "Honey, don't be ashamed. Your body's breaking down on you. You haven't had anything to eat. You've only had 3 hours of sleep. You've been in labor for a long time." And so she's like, "Just do it." And I was like, I started crying and I held my stomach. I said, "I'm sorry, Cade. I really tried." And my aunt's like, "Stop. There's no shame in this." And so one of the nurses, I told them, and I think it was about 30 minutes before they gave me painkillers. And she came in and she gave me half a pain shot. And they told me that in an hour, I think it was, they would give me more, I think. And so I thanked the nurse, and it helped. Like, I was so tired just right away. And it really didn't help with the pain, but I passed out. And I remember blacking out in between contractions, and sometimes even in with contractions. And I would wake up, there'd be somebody beside the bed, like my mother-in-law, and I'd pass out and wake up, and there's my friend beside the bed. And then I guess he was the C-section doctor. Oh, hopefully I never see him again. He came in and had the stupid paperwork. I swear I filled out the same paperwork like 17 times through this whole thing. And he filled out or did this, and he had the paperwork for the C-section and was asking me, "Have you ever had this disease and this disease and this disease?" And I'm like, I heard him say chicken pox. I'm like, "That one." And then he had me sign my name. And Stephanie looks just fine, but then my last name was just scribbled like bad. And so it was just like, okay, just get away. My midwife told him to leave. So then he left. I'm gonna end this video and I'm gonna make another one so I don't go too long. So there will be a part two. So